Hi everyone and welcome to my second video. I was already looking a long time for a programmable power supply where I can choose the voltage or the number of amps I provide to a certain component. In that search I came by a company in China, Riden, which provides already some programmable power supplies, and now since last year has also a new version, the Riden series. You have the RD6006, 12 and 18, where the last part stands for the number of amps you can push through that power supply. And then you have the normal or the W version, which the W version gives you the ability to connect your power supply over Wi-Fi with an app on your phone. I bought the 6018 W version, so I will do a couple of videos on it, but the first one now is going to be an instruction about how to assemble this power supply. So if you would like to order it, you need to order it in three parts. So first of all, you have the control unit itself, you have the power supply and the casing with all the cables and everything else. So let's start with the assembly, and we will start with the casing where we put the power supply in. Starting with the case and the power supplies. So if you order a case, most of the times those two things you can order in one package. So if you start with the case, you have all the power cables you need for connecting the power supply to the control unit and to the back connectors. You have your power back connector, you have an on and off switch, and all the needed bolts and nuts for assembly. So the power supply comes with an additional transistor. They may be in high frequency noise when you switch on that power supply, and which has a low load. So if nothing is connected to the power supply, it can create a high frequency noise. So by adding this load resistor, it can be reduced. We will see if we need it, yes or no. So let's start with mounting the power supply into the case. If you see, all the holes are already pre-drilled and matches the holes you have in the power supply itself. So if we mount it like this, we align it and then we turn it over. Let's take some bolts. So we mounted the power supply into the casing. So on the next step, we will place the power connector and the switch. Place the switch with the on side towards the power supply, because your two pin connectors are also on the right side of that switch. So if you flip it around, they will come in contact. So let's fit in the power connector. The switch and the power connector are installed. Now it's time to connect the cables. So for the switch you want to connect, you take the small brown cable, connect it to the top one and to the left over here. Then you have the long brown one. It's come from the switch and goes to the power supply, so it needs to be over here. The ground is in the middle, and the blue one is on the bottom of the power connector. So let's now connect the power cables to the power supply. You need to open that plastic one over here. So you have the N, the L and the ground. Let's connect the power supply towards the power and switch it on. So I've taken a voltage meter to check what the output power is from the power supply. Always check it up front. So we are now at 65.6 voltage, which is perfect. It's a 65 voltage power supply, so perfect. If you like, you have the white dot over there. You can adjust the outputted power. After we mounted the power supply into the casing, it's now time to look at the control unit itself. So this is the 6018-W version. There is no manual inside the box, but you can scan this QR code and look to the manual online. Let's open this phone box, and here it is. So this is a control unit. Let's place it out. We unpack the control unit. If we look at the back, you have over here the power connector. We will remove it because it will be easier to fit in the cables. On the other side, you have a small fuse over here, and here an empty breech for a fuse. Also over here you have the same. If you buy the product, you will get also already a spare fuse. So if one of those two fuses are failing, you can replace it with the spare one. Over here you have the Wi-Fi module installed, because this is a W version. So now let's take the cables connected to the connector and to the power supply so we can power on this control module. I hear that high frequency noise where I talked about in the beginning, so also we will add that transistor. We have the connector for the control module. The red ones needs to be on this right side and the blacks on the other side. Now we can connect the control module to the power supply. Let's plug in this connector and install the module into the casing. We installed the control module. When we tested the power supply previously, we heard that high frequency noise. We're going to install that resistor between the positive and the negative side of the power supply, and this normally will reduce that high frequency noise. Everything is installed now. We have the resistor, we have the power supply, we have the control module, so now we can close the casing. Let's place some rubber foots underneath, and afterwards we can test the whole setup. Everything is mounted. Let's power the power supply on, see what it does. So I just put on the switch on the back. You see the power supply powering on, and you see over here already the input voltage is 65.5. It's the same what we measured before. Some quick things, we will explain the other things in another video. This is an on and off switch, but it's only for that module. The power supply is still working, so we can power it on. It's just the control module, and the on and off switch over here will switch off or on the output power. So now we see we had configured the 5 voltage. It's now putting out 5 voltage. We will talk more in detail in some other videos. If you have any comments, remarks, put them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.